Welcome back. Now, the outcome of Nigeria's 2023 presidential election has prompted many to begin to question the validity of polling. In the weeks leading up to the February 25th presidential election, most of the popular polls predicted that Labour Party candidate Peter Obi was going to win it, and even by some very good margin. In fact, no fewer than 9 polls projected Obi to succeed President Muhammadu Buhari in May. But all of that failed all of them actually failed in their forecast. Bola Tinubu, the candidate of the ruling party, that's the All Progressives Congress, eventually won the election in what was obviously a very tight race. He scored 8,794,726 votes to defeat Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party, who came second with 6,984,520 votes. Peter Obi of the Labour Party, who all the pollsters now, I should say, had projected was going to win, came third with a total of 6,101,533 votes. Of course, both Abubakar and Obi dispute the outcome of the election and have actually headed to court to challenge it. But then the big question is, how come the major pollsters got it wrong this time around? What happened, and what exactly is the implication of all of this now for the future of polling in Nigeria? To speak more on this, and now being joined on the program by Theo Akatuba, who is a political affairs analyst, and Richard Adeyinka, who of course is a pollster and of course has conducted several polls across the country. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. Let me start with you, Yinka. You're the pollster here. What exactly went wrong? How bad is this, the outcome of this election now? How bad is it for polling in this country? Because all the major polls got it wrong.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It is unexpected. The polls and then the outcome, that the two will work at variance. If you look at it, I think we've sometimes in preparatory to this election, we were in the studio and we talked about some of them that have been conducted. And you see, like I said, it's unexpected. We know that what SBM, ANAP Foundation and co were parading was nothing but a joke that is not going to be possible. Let's take chi-squared statistical analysis to describe what has happened.
Okay.
18 candidates contested in this election.
That's the presidential election.
The presidential election. So each one, expected result is 5.5%. Everybody is starting on a clean slate, 5.5%. But if you look at the popularity of the candidates, the pedigree of the party, the popularity of the party, and the reality of our elections, the trends over time, you discover that there is no way somebody coming from a Labour Party will defeat. Labour Party was just already put together. We defeat two parties, PDP and APC, that have been on ground with what we call structure. Whether they like it or not, those on the other side, whether they like it or not, if you don't have structure, you can only get votes. It's only structure that will win you elections.
Are you talking politics or you're talking the science of polling?
The science of polling, if we go into it, is that the polls were wrongly conducted and wrongly reported. Wrongly conducted because they rely, perhaps the one I was involved in, which was face-to-face data collection, data analysis, was accurate. We even published the one we had in Oyo State. It's online. You know, very accurate. But if you rely on online poll, it is never reliable in Nigeria, considering our situation. There is no way you will sit on Twitter or you will make calls to. We've done that. There is no type of polls that I've not been involved in.
So what is wrong with that?
What is wrong with that is that you don't know who's on the other side. You don't know who's on the other side. One person can answer for two. Even if you select, let us assume that you sample from phone numbers. The phone numbers, you don't know who is answering on the other side. The person answering may not be truthful to you, may not even have PVC to vote. So when you come out to, and if you look at the figures, some will allocate 60% to Peter Obi. 78, I saw one, maybe SBM or so, allocating close to 70% to Peter Obi. In Nigeria, it is absolutely impossible. So what they did in preparatory to our election was just a joke. They could have good intention, fantastic, but you have to do the right thing before you come on here and tell the world that this is what you have found. So the science of it was wrong, the reporting of it was wrong, and then the outcome was going to go contrary to expectations.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you. Let me go to Theo. Theo, could we say the reason this the polling results now turned out the way they did, could we say it's because maybe in this case the pollsters allowed their personal judgment now to override what should have been pure science?
Thank you very much for this interesting review and a look back at the pollsters and the polling that took place before the election. When those polls were coming out, I observed them and I took a lot of them with a pinch of salt. Why? Because when I looked at the methodology, I looked at the sample size, they were laughable. And then again, I also know that polls have been failing in the last 10 years. It's not only in Nigeria. Even in the US, the polls completely failed to predict the victory of Donald Trump.
That is true.
In his first election. And in the second election, they overrated Donald Trump in comparison with Biden's popularity. And so you can see that polls have not really been doing well in the last 10 years. And in the Nigerian situation, they relied very much on the social media popularity of Peter Obi, and they used their statistics and they did what you call multiplications to arrive at what they had, because using the algorithms and the Twitter noise has been predicted to fail, because at the end of the day, social media do not give you a clear representation of the entire spread of the country. For example, despite the large amount of literature that's available, there's a debate about whether Twitter or other social media outlets can be used to infer political opinion. Because the social media, they are filled with falsehoods, so much falsehood, that if you rely on them, your post or your survey is likely to be wrong. You know, it's erroneous data through trolls, the bots, and then misinformation campaign to a level that you are unable to distinguish between what is genuine from what is true. So these polls that failed, they failed because they relied on social media popularity. And they forgot that a majority of the Nigerian voter is not yet on the social media channel. They are not yet, a lot of them are not there, especially from the northern part of Nigeria. So this is why I thought, or I think that they were carried away by their emotions, just the way you have put the question. They did not rely on the exact and a lot of the scientific evidence that they should have. And their sample size was very small.
But another question I want to ask is, you would expect that those organizing such polls would understand the dynamics of our politics, would understand, human behavior in our society, would understand the way things are with our politics and know, know, for instance, the place of different dynamics. Now, when you talk about religion, you talk about ethnicity, you talk about region and all of that. I'm just wondering, why they didn't take all of that into consideration in conducting these polls? And when you look at some of the results they released, in most cases, those who did not respond, the number of those who did not respond are quite high, but then they still went ahead to make projections.
Yes, that's the thing you must understand. If they were not emotional or excited by the outcome of their preliminary result, they should have interrogated their method more carefully. If they were dispassionate, if they were not so involved to the extent that they were interested in a certain direction of the outcome, or the outcome should go in a certain direction, they will not rush to town with what they brought to the nation. Because the credibility with which they were even given the space has been completely lost. How now can they use their name in the future as a credible pollster? Because they should have done a better job. The outcome is far, far away from their prediction. And that is enough to discredit the entire organization. And it beats me why they will put at stake all that reputation of the past. Probably whatever you saw in the past was as a result of what you call by coincidence or accident that those polls in the past were successful. But this time has shown that they did not do a thorough scientific work. For example, in polling all over the world, there is an increasing evidence that non-response and misrepresentation bias might be the reason that polls are not producing accurately matched election results. They know it. So for them to still come to town with this, knowing that in the last 10 years, non-response and misrepresentation has always been one of the reasons why many polls fail.
Richard, how bad is this for pollsters? I mean, for the majority of these pollsters who are quite popular in this country, for them to just get it completely wrong and make very wrong forecast. I mean, this must rub off on virtually every pollster in this country because, you know, before now, there had always been a challenge with polling in this country. Quite a lot of people don't believe in polling. They don't believe in the outcome. But do you think this has made things worse for pollsters in this country?
No, I don't think so. It's just a matter of if you need an organization to do a poll for you, know which one you will approach. What we have had is a situation whereby the pollsters, they had their own biases. It's a PR all over. Poll, opinion poll, is a PR tool. You know, that if you come out and say Peter Obi will win, that may sway some people to say, this is a popular candidate, let's follow him. So it's a PR tool which politicians use a lot. But in reality, they know. Those who came out to say Peter Obi will win by 50%, even when you have more than half, in the case of ANAP, more than half of its own sample said they will not tell him or they've not decided. You can't come out and say, when you have that this person will win. It's impossible. But because the organization, the foundation, has its own bias, the owner has his own bias, perhaps wanted to do a PR for Peter Obi, that is why he was so confident to come out and share what we have. But in reality, it is not. Those who did opinion poll, the real one, they had the result and they digested the result and they used the result to strategize. My colleague mentioned non-response and we call it missing system in data analysis. when you analyze your data, it will give you the overall result and say, this is the result you will have. However, because we have this number of missing response, we cannot say this is the outcome. So it will produce two results for you. For anybody who understands data analysis and has used SPSS a lot, when you run your first analysis, it will give you percentage and give you valid percentage. It will underline it, percentage and then valid percentage. So it is telling you that this is the result. However, this is the valid one. It will have taken care of the missing response and then those who refuse to say. So in this case, you see that if you use Google Form to conduct for a national election as big as the one we just had, and you use Google Form, Google will give you the result. Google has no business with what you have with missing response. It will just give you overall, and then you can go to town. So it doesn't work like that. Those who came out and reported, they did the wrong thing. Their methodology was wrong, doing online poll. And then the reportage was also wrong. Where you have over 50% of your sample say, we don't know, or we can't say now, you cannot go to town. Anybody can have that 50% and we win. So that is not where 21%. I saw one where Peter Obi was given 21% of the total vote, where over 50% did not state who they will vote for. So that 21% is not where you should report from. It is from those who did not answer, those who did not tell you they will vote for. Something is missing. So if you are truthful to yourself, if you don't want to just do PR for your candidate, I assume that those who reported wrongly, they worked for Peter Obi. If they did not work for Peter Obi, that is where they will report from. That even though he has this, majority of voters still don't want to mention him. So something is amiss. So you want to galvanize people using your wrong data, and you want to move them thinking that if you report him as the number one, that means people will now vote. No, it doesn't work like that.
And the danger is when you produce a report that is not accurate,
yes,
it sends it certainly misleads the candidate himself, and so he thinks he's very much liked across the country. He thinks he has the people behind him, and so when the results eventually come out and he doesn't win, it creates room for dispute, like what we are having now.
That is why we are having what we are having. Not only that people are disputing the results, people are afraid. They hold on to the fact that Peter Obi won the election, putting the judiciary under pressure, putting the the INEC under pressure and its chairman under pressure, all the rec under pressure, because of expectation, false expectation created by false opinion poll.
Okay, let me bring in Theo here. Theo, it's a danger. The danger in wrong forecast, wrong projection, is that, as we've had it now in Nigeria, is that when results are eventually declared and the projected doesn't go ahead to win, it begins to create doubts in the minds of those who had believed these projections, who had believed these polls. Is that what we're having in the country today? Because for some of the candidates too, it becomes difficult to accept that they didn't win, for instance.
Yeah, the problem we have in the country is not totally because of polls that have failed to predict correctly the outcome, but more to do with the position of the candidate disputing the elections directly. The polls should have predicted or shown to the candidate that they are not likely to win the election, especially.
But the polls didn't do that. The polls didn't do that. But the polls didn't do
No,
that.
the polls are not to be blamed totally, because the citizens, a lot of the voters did not see the polls, did not hear of the polls. They only hear more from the candidate's attitude towards the result and the political structure's reaction to the result. If the candidates have accepted the result, knowing that truthfully the polls were only conducted to show up their popularity or to sway people's interest in their direction, they should know better that they don't have the ground. For example, the percentage of response in that poll is very poor, and that is the trend all over the world. The percentage of response to traditionally conducted surveys has increased, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to get people's true opinion. Very difficult. People are not truthful about what they are going to do at election, especially when you have majority of people whose vote could be bought. They are just going to tell you anything you like to hear. And so the pollsters and the...
Well, we've lost him there. We'll try to reestablish connection. Richard, we just have to end this. What do you think? What lessons do you think pollsters need to take from the just concluded election?
Well, if assuming they are truthful in the beginning, we will say, okay, this is what you should do. They themselves are not truthful. So that's the problem. Now, going forward, if they still want to be relevant, if they still want to be taken seriously in the subsequent elections that we will have, is to be truthful and do the right thing. See, in this country, there is no way. Even those who will sell their votes, they know it is not on that day they will sell it. Those who will buy would have assembled them, would have contacted them, would have put them on notice. They would have established a kind of relationship. So if you conduct your opinion in the right manner, using the right methodology and right analysis, you will get the right response. We went to, in Oyo State alone, the poll I was involved in over 40 villages that we went to. You know, so even if people will buy, it is not on the day of election. They would have bargained far before that day.
So it's not as if people go to the polling booths now to start hawking their
No,
votes.
they already know. See, the people, if this is from my own mother, when she visited me, she said, this election will conduct that the man they will vote for bought 4 different clothing materials for them for celebration. Since 2019, every year it will buy, it will send money, it will send rice, it will send this and that. So those who will sell and those who will buy, it is on the day of election they will begin to transact. Only few people will do that. But the real people that will vote and will sell, they already know far before that day. So if you meet them, it is persuasion. Well, that is why we always favor face-to-face opinion polling. Select your respondents in a scientific manner and then meet them. Sometimes they will say, buy this for us, give me malts to replenish my blood before I answer you. That is normal. You are not influencing the opinion, but you are getting his or her buy-in to answer your response. Now, the person will tell you, this is where I'm going. This is where I'm going. So it is not that they don't know. They know. ANAP, SBM and all that, they knew what they did at the beginning. So if they want people to take them seriously, is to engage. Online is easy. It is cheap. You won't spend money. If you want to do it, proper opinion polling costs money, millions. So if you think that you will sit somewhere, use Google or use this to tell people to, you will get falsehood is what you will get. So I will tell them going forward that if they must continue to be relevant, they have to do the right thing. Conduct the proper opinion polling with scientific process, using right methodology. You can, there is no, see, it is not so much. Opinion polling is not so much about sample size, how big your sample size is. In America, with their population, is about Gallup and Co. use just 1,000. So in Nigeria, even 1,000, 2,000 scientifically selected respondents can give you the true picture of what to expect. However, if you sit online and you think you will talk to those that are doing Twitter, that are doing Facebook, you will not get accurate results.
All right. Let me quickly go to Tio Akatugba before we wrap up. Tio, unfortunately, I lost you along the way, but give me your final word. What lessons do you think pollsters should take from the outcome of this election?
Okay, the first lesson they must take is that no matter how you tweet, you distort the outcome of your survey, no matter how you try to use a survey for PR to sway votes, the reality, the biggest polling in any election is on the election day. So they should be circumspect. They should do better job. They should not discredit themselves with this repetitive failure of the polling results. That's the biggest lesson they must learn.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for coming on the program. Thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, I'm afraid that's how much we can take on the program this week. We thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.